We're waiting for one more member, but we do have a quorum, so we will proceed with business. First item on the agenda is approval of regular meeting minutes of October 22nd, 2012. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Are there any changes? Additions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, items for consideration. First one is P1, approval of a first-time application for a sidewalk cafe for Pret a Manger at 1701 Sherman Avenue. The Site Plan and Appearance Review Committee, Spark, and city staff recommend consideration for approval of a first-time application for a sidewalk cafe permit for Pret a Manger at Type 2 restaurant located at 1701 Sherman Avenue, and this is for action. Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Dennis is, Mr. Marino is going to address.
Thank you, Alderman Fisk. Dennis Marino, Manager of Planning and Zoning for the city. The P1, the request for approval of a sidewalk cafe for Pret a Manger. Basically, there's a revised staff recommendation for this. We would recommend that the committee recommend approval of the Sherman Avenue side of the sidewalk cafe, but not of the Church Street side. Public Works has some particular concerns about the Church Street side. But since the applicant has moved forward with all of his notices and followed all appropriate procedures, we, as staff, would recommend that you approve the Sherman Avenue side or recommend that council approve that tonight.
Okay.
I move the amendment that was just discussed.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion?
But Pret a Manger is okay with this? Will suit their purposes, I guess.
Are you with Pret a Manger? Would you come and talk to us then?
This is Mario Valenti, our architect. I'm John Panzer. I'm with Pret a Manger. We just got notified of this today. We had gone to the Spark hearing and presented our plan, and obviously they called and left an email for somebody today, or called an email, and I got the message and went and looked at it. And there is a dimensional discrepancy between when we originally proposed the plan and when they did the sidewalk change. And so they moved in the tree and the curb at the very beginning, where we have 4 tables on Church Street side. So we went and measured it, and 1 table instead of chairs is going to have to be removed from the plan. So I will make that change, but I would just like to request that we'll take the Sherman approval tonight, and we've done all the mailings as we were required to do. But when we come back, and if I can work this through with the Department of Public Works, I'd like to be able to carry forward with the approval from this tonight.
Sure.
And include the Church Street with it when it comes to that.
Sure.
All right. Great. Thank you very much.
Anybody have
I
a problem
appreciate
with
it.
that? Yes. Alderman Rainey?
Why would it come back? See,
Yeah.
coming back. I think you would be smart. You're not going to open up now.
No, obviously we're not going to
November
open that.
1st.
Right.
So why don't we get our act together all at one time and then come back to the whole plan?
Right. I spoke with Mr. And we wanted to get his recommendation was to get the approval for Sherman Street tonight. So I'm taking his recommendation to get the approval for Sherman Street tonight.
Avenue.
Okay.
Alderman Fisk, if I could jump in. Alderman Rainey, what we were trying to do was be able to have them have some approval for Sherman, even though you're right, they're not going to open in the next few weeks, certainly. And then we would work together, both Community and Economic Development, Public Works, and Health, to hear the revised plans for the Church Street side, and then come back to you with a recommendation on that.
Well,
I don't understand the process at all. That's not the process.
They wouldn't be connected at all. I mean, if we're moving ahead with this one tonight, how would we connect then something coming back later for Church Street?
What we would do would come back and ask you to amend the recommendation. We would come back to the committee. But it's the committee's decision, certainly.
okay. I just want to make sure. It's on here for action tonight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if we approve it tonight, we're done with it, right?
Yes.
And so that's where I'm having a disconnect. I'm not seeing how it's going to come back unless they go through the whole process again.
If
the
you were
notification of
to
that.
approve it as amended tonight, just for the Sherman Avenue side, the sidewalk cafe would be approved for that site. they want to present a proposal, revised proposal, to staff for the Church Street side as well. But that's going to be several weeks probably before that happens. We then could bring that back to the committee as an amendment, but it can be done either way, certainly.
But would they have to renotice the whole thing?
We haven't determined that with the law department because we're just hearing about their interest tonight on Church Street.
But, we haven't heard about Church Street before?
We have, where we were earlier today was basically essentially getting approval for going forward with the Sherman Avenue side. Public Works had a reservation, more of the reservations opposition to the church side, the way it was configured. Since they had already done the notice and were coming to the meeting, we thought we'd proceed with this approach that we're describing.
Could I hear from the applicant? You look a little skeptical. That's
No, the process we followed was we submitted both church and sermon originally.
okay.
Took it to Spark, was approved by Spark, and then today we were notified that they had an issue with one of the dimensions on the Church Street side. And so they wanted us to come here tonight, and Dominic approached us earlier and said, would you take just the approval for Sherman tonight? And I said, yes, we would. But that I felt, we went there, once I was notified, we drove over here, went to the site, measured it, and saw what the issue is. I mean, there's obviously an issue. It doesn't meet the dimensional requirement for one table and chairs.
Mm-hmm.
So if I had gotten an opportunity to speak with DPW today, maybe I could have sorted this out beforehand. But
So you're willing to take away that one table and chairs?
Yes, I am.
Why can't we just approve that?
No,
I just don't
I think
understand.
we should, if we're going to
Yeah,
do
I
this
think-
at all, I think we go with what they're approving tonight, and then if they want to come back later for the Church Street side, then it's a whole new thing. That's the only way I would go for it.
Could we just hold it to the next meeting and then,
I think you should get it fixed now.
Yeah.
Because I think something on one side might affect the other side. Bring the whole package up. See,
so maybe,
You don't know how this operates, and I'm just afraid that you're going to get aced out of your other side. And I think it would be better for you to have the whole,
I agree. Instead, if the law department says you have to renotice the whole thing, then there's that. So would it work to just hold it until the next meeting? Like I said, you're probably not going to be serving things at a cafe table in December. So there's probably no urgency. That way, if we continue it, it won't have to be renoticed, right? And we'll just to give you
so
the
it
time.
won't
do
have
it
to
the
be
next meeting.
renoticed if
Right.
you continue it.
Right.
I'll take that.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, I know you do. I mean, Spark was wholly in favor of it. I mean, the city's been great to work with. We're very happy to be part of the community. So, I'm willing to continue it and bring it back to you if I can sort it out with DPW.
Okay, so I move that we hold it to the next meeting. And then,
Could we know what the issue is? I mean, could maybe the, I was going to say, maybe we could hear from our public works director.
Is the Public Works Director?
Yes, right
Oh,
behind you.
hey, how you doing? Good.
Hi, good evening. I'm Suzette Robinson, the Director of Public Works. The original plans that were submitted to Spark was actually submitted before we completed the streetscape project on Church. So all the drawings were based on the original layout. We have some concerns as it relates to we have actually widened the streetscape to actually allow for more pedestrian access. We also have a bike shelter that we're installing in the area. So we really just want to make sure that Church Street, basically all the good work that we did to create a wider pedestrian path, we don't fill it with a sidewalk cafe. So we really need to look at the drawings with the way things are laid out today. So that was what our reservations were.
Okay, so I think I agree with all of you as long as there are no additional demands put on the applicant. Holding it to the next meeting makes the most sense, if that's all right with you. Okay.
That's what we're trying to do.
Right, yeah.
Clear.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. So do we need a motion?
Next meeting.
Mhm. Is there a second?
When's the next meeting? 26th.
Will it be ready by then?
Okay.
I was going to say.
November 26th. Mhm. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. We're going on to P2, Ordinance 95-012, amending the special use for a sheltered skilled care home at 2520 Grosse Pointe Road in the C2 zoning district. This is Alden Estates. Staff recommends the adoption of proposed ordinance 95012 that was requested by Alden Estates to permit greater flexibility in the management of the 99 beds within their facility. This is for introduction. Mr. Marino, do you want to address this?
Thank you, Alderman Fisk. As you've accurately summarized, this is an amendment to an existing special use that's been amended before, and the essence of it is a change in the configuration of beds. There are 99 beds in the facility currently. There will continue to be 99 beds, but the amendment drops the distinction in terms of limits or the exact number of skilled care beds and sheltered care beds called for in the ordinance. There is also a request to change the number of set-aside beds for Evanston Medicaid patients. With us tonight, we have Steve Friedland, who's the attorney for Alden Estates, and also a representative from Alden Estates, if you'd like to hear from them.
Good evening. Hi, Steve Friedland with Applegate and Thorne Thompson. Randy Shulo, the president of Alden Realty, is here as well. As Dennis stated, we were actually before you a couple of years ago. Originally, when this facility back in 1990 requested skilled beds, which there's skilled beds are authorized by the Illinois Health Facility Planning Board, and there are a certain number of beds in different planning districts, and Alden was awarded originally 42 skilled beds back in, I think, 1996 when they came before the council, and the 99 beds in the facility were split 42 skilled, 57 sheltered. Then there was an opportunity a couple of years ago, we were in front of you in 2009, where they were able to utilize, under the health facility planning rules, an ability to get 10 more skilled beds. So we changed that mix from 52 to 47. There are available skilled beds in the planning area. So what Alden would like to do is be able to go to the health facility planning board, get as many skilled beds as are possible. A sheltered care patient can be in a skilled bed. A skilled care patient cannot be in a sheltered care bed. So, in fact, under Evanston's current zoning, we don't even really make this distinction anymore. I think this would just be a long-term care facility, and you could do skilled or sheltered beds, but back in 96, there was the distinction. Bottom line is, we want the ordinance to read that we can do 99 beds and they can be skilled or sheltered, and that way Alden can go forward and receive whatever approval they can get from the Illinois Health Facility Planning Board. And then, as Dennis suggested, the other change was when the original ordinance was passed with respect to a set-aside for a certain percentage of Evanston Medicaid patients in the skilled beds, that amounted to 8 beds. And basically, over time, Alden's lived with this ordinance for a number of years, there at times have probably been 8 Evanston Medicaid patients. At times there have been much less. The feeling is that, frankly, this is not something they deal with in any of their other facilities. They don't have a set-aside like this. So the thought was it's easier to manage if they can get to a point where they can have more skilled beds. They would like to have a set number of 5 beds that would be part of the Evanston Medicaid set-aside. So that was the other part of the request that's before you.
Yes, Alderman Holmes.
Well,
I'm sorry, Alderman Rainey was first.
Rainey was first.
Yeah,
yes.
I didn't see it.
Steve, that's the issue that I have with this whole thing. I don't care whether they're skilled or sheltered, but I'm concerned about reducing the number of beds for set-aside. And I see the problem that there could actually be a vacant bed that's got to be reserved for an Evanston resident. But I'm having trouble, given our population, imagining that there wouldn't be that number if you mixed up the skill and sheltered part that wouldn't occupy that space. I mean, our population is aging, and why are you smiling? It is.
We're all aging,
and,
yes.
It doesn't even have to be aging, right? I mean, it's nursing care. So I just I'd like to know a little more about your numbers, and also I asked the manager today if our Commission on Aging had commented on this. I mean, I'm fully supporting every other part of this request, except for this little piece I'm not comfortable with. And I would like to hear from the Commission on Aging about this.
And that was, Dennis has mentioned that comment came up, and we certainly don't have a problem with doing something like that. Assuming that we get past some of these issues, we would appreciate being introduced tonight.
Oh,
and
definitely.
then I believe the Commission on Aging has, I think, a December 1 meeting. So
I don't know, they meet on
we-
Saturdays, I think.
So
Yeah.
we could work through that. But maybe Randy Shulo with Alden could speak to some of
Okay.
the issues with respect to the number of
Could
beds.
we just hear from Alderman Holmes first, because maybe this is the
Actually,
same question?
It's the same question.
Okay.
I mean, the sheltered skill, I have no issue with. It's just that the set-aside would bother me very much to have that reduced.
They would have more background and information than we.
Absolutely.
First of all, I'd like to say we'd be happy to meet with the Commission on Aging prior to their December 1st meeting, and I'm sorry, and I apologize that we have not. We have a good relationship with Evanston, and typically, although we're trying to reduce this number, that doesn't mean that's all the Evanston residents that we're going to have in the building at one time. Just in looking at the last history over the last 2 years, after talking to Alderman Tandem, we just researched for 2 years what we actually had, and we had 176 Medicare residents just from Evanston within the facility. And as far as the Medicaid residents, there were 26 over that 2-year period. So just because we're limiting it to 5, we are not just saying we are only going to have 5, just like, as you could see, we had 26, although we only committed to 8. That's not our goal. It's just typically not something that we see in any of our other facilities, part of the actual zoning ordinance. We manage it. We're here for the community, and it's just something we'd like to manage internally and not have it be such a high number.
Okay, Alderman
Can we
Holmes.
find out from staff about other facilities, and do we have set aside in those facilities as well? Because I would think that we do, and
We can bring that to you.
okay. I'd
When
like to
did
have
you
that.
build this?
Actually, this facility was built in 1990, and in 1995, Alden purchased it.
See, I don't think there are a lot of newly built facilities like this, and so that's why we put the requirement on them.
So, and as Steve said, right now, there's an opportunity to apply to the Illinois Health Facilities Planning Board. There's over 300 beds that are needed for skilled beds in this planning area, so we want to be able to accommodate more skilled residents. We could still accommodate the same sheltered care residents. They could stay in the skilled beds, but the opportunity is here now to do that.
Okay, so is it the understanding of the committee that you'd like this introduced? And,
Yes, I'd like to move introduction of this request and
It'll come back to committee and then go
and-
directly to council.
and feedback
All right.
from, right, but I need a second.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks. Thanks so
Okay,
much.
yeah, thank you very much. That's the end of our agenda. Are there any communications?
None.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Is there a second? Second. Okay. City council meeting will begin at 7:45. That's 10 minutes from now. That's you.
I just want to make sure I heard right. We're
Yes. Yep, you'll be right back here on the 26th. That's correct. Thank you. Uh-huh.
Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. All things toil to weariness.